All right, let's talk about a name that for millions of people is basically shorthand for a top-notch education, the Beaconhouse school system. But, behind that shiny, prestigious reputation, there's a whole other story, one that involves courtroom drama, major controversy, and a billion rupee question. Let's get into it.
First things first, to get a sense of just how big Beacon House is, you have to start with this number. We're talking about over 315,000 students. That's not just a lot of students, that makes it one of the largest private school networks anywhere on the planet. Just massive. And this isn't just a local success story, not by a long shot. Beacon House has a truly global footprint. It started in Pakistan, sure, but it's expanded all across Asia, into the Middle East, and even landed in the UK. This huge international reach, that's a core part of their identity.
So let's start with the image that Beacon House projects to the world, this idea of a premier global school system. This is the foundation of their entire brand, and it's exactly why so many families put their trust in them. And at the very heart of their mission is this powerful little phrase. The goal is to prepare kids for the challenges of the 21st century. It's a really smart, forward-thinking approach that, you can imagine, totally clicks with parents who want to give their kids every possible advantage. And you know what? They've got the results to back it up. Beacon House consistently gets its students into some of the most elite universities in the world. We're talking Ivy League schools in the US, the Russell Group in the UK. For a lot of parents, that's the ultimate seal of approval right there. But how in the world does a single school grow into a global education empire? Well, the story starts from some pretty humble beginnings. So it all kicked off in 1975 with just a small Montessori academy in Lahore. But here's the real turning point, the moment everything changed, 1996. The International Finance Corporation, that's the part of the World Bank that invests in the private sector, gave them a major chunk of funding. That investment was like rocket fuel. It supercharged their growth and paved the way for them to go international just a few years later. But that kind of rapid, money-fueled growth, well, that brings us to the other side of the Beacon House story, the controversy. This is where the narrative shifts from education to business, and it raises what you might call the billion rupee question. In 2018, the whole system faced a massive crisis. The government actually suspended the registration of 115 of its campuses in Pakistan. And why? Well, they were accused of charging way too much for tuition, which went directly against rulings from the country's Supreme Court. The whole thing boiled over in a Supreme Court hearing in 2019. After looking at the school's financial records, the Chief Justice of Pakistan said this, an incredibly blunt and powerful comparison. So what on earth would make a Chief Justice say something like that? This number. This is what prompted it. An audit report showed that Beacon House had raked in a profit of 1.4 billion Pakistani rupees, and that figure just blew the lid off the whole debate. Is this a school, or is it a massively profitable corporation? Now, to really wrap your head around that kind of profit, you have to realize that Beacon House isn't just one chain of schools. It's a huge, interconnected ecosystem of different educational brands and ventures, all under one big corporate umbrella. Just take a look. Beyond the main Beacon House schools, the group also owns other school networks like the Educators, a bunch of colleges, and even its own private university. They even have the franchise rights for brands like Jimbori in Pakistan. It's this super diversified portfolio that covers the entire educational landscape, creating all these different ways to make money. So where does that leave us? Well, you've got these two really powerful, totally conflicting stories about the same institution. And what you end up with is a really complicated legacy, one defined by incredible success and at the same time some pretty serious controversy. And this really lays out that central conflict perfectly. On one hand, you have the prestige, a global network, world-famous alumni, students getting into the best universities. But on the other hand, you have the profit, government suspensions, that harsh criticism from a judge, and a business model that's clearly designed to make a ton of money. It's like two sides of the same coin. And you really can't argue with the prestige side of things. I mean, the system has produced some incredibly successful people. We're talking an Oscar-winning visual effects artist, famous actors, top-tier fashion designers, and national-level cricket stars. That roster of successful alumni is a pretty powerful argument for the quality of their education. Which brings us to the final and maybe most important question. The story of Beacon House kind of forces us to ask, where do you draw the line between education as a service and education as a business. And when an institution gets really, really good at both, who really benefits and who ends up paying a price for all that success?